Welcome to the how to set up your new OTTOMEDIC EVO 7000 Z1 protein skimmer that you see here in front of me. Before we get started, just make sure that you follow the assembly instructions to the T to achieve the maximum sump tank water level capability of the skimmer. First, I want you to measure the depth of your sump tank water with a tape measure and make sure it's no more than 8 inches of water, as you can see I have set up in this sump tank here. The OTTOMEDIC plexiglass material needs a week or so to climatize before it will operate at the up to 10.5 inches of water. So start off with 8 inches so we can be successful in getting this up and running. And the OTTOMEDIC EVO 7000 Z1 will operate at 100% efficiency in the sump tank water level down to 1 inch up to 10.5 inches after a week or so. So I have added some Skimmate to this water for a more realistic example of how it will operate in your sump tank. One of your filter pads came with a plug in one of the extra holes, which is right here. Make sure to be using this filter pad on the initial setup of your protein skimmer. This prevents air bubbles from escaping out of the skimmer that could possibly get back into your aquarium, because your skimmer is likely to go bonkers for the first week or so if you have not been running a protein skimmer prior to this one. So after a week or two, make sure to remove that plug so when this filter gets clogged up, that you're not restricting the water flow through the protein skimmer. Your aquarium is bioloaded as a direct result of the size and weight of your fish, live rock, and invertebrates. By sliding the float up and down on this valve actuator is how you set according to your bioload requirements. The lower setting here is for a larger bioload, and obviously up for a smaller bioload. This controls the bottom of your foam column. The more fish and invertebrates you have, the taller the foam column that will be generated. The float controls the bottom of the foam column. So to manipulate the top of the foam column, you adjust the bottom of the foam column by sliding up and down. If you have a larger aquarium, 250 gallons or maybe even larger, take the float off and add the extension first before even getting started, like so. And slide the float on there and then put the little rubber stopper on the end. This will assure that you don't have Skimmate flowing into your collection container right off the bat. So now we're ready to put the skimmer into the sump tank. You may want to take the lid off when you put it in the sump tank, because the air has to escape past this lid in order for the water to fill up, because this is fairly airtight. So if you're pushing this in the water and pushing down on this, the air is not going to escape and it won't fill up with water. So do whatever you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and put this in here, like so. And as long as you're not pushing down on the lid, I'm holding it down with my hand here, it will fill up. Wait till the water level gets at least an inch above the exhaust port on the water pump. That looks for there. Rotate the skimmer so you have a good visual of the siphon tubes. Here's the siphon tubes here. You need to watch the air escaping out the siphon tubes. The water is filled up to the height of the water in the aquarium, and when you turn the skimmer on, you need to hold the lid down, as I'm going to show you, in order to force the air out of the siphon tubes. It is imperative to force the air out of the siphon tubes. This is what we call priming the skimmer. So you only do this the one time. Once it's primed, you can turn the power off and on as many times as you want, and the water will always be in the siphon tube so you'll never get any air back in there until you remove the skimmer at a later date. So you also want to coordinate the ability to turn the power on so you can be prepared to prime it at the same time. So arrange the electrical so you can be holding the lid down when you turn the power on. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and just hold the lid down. Manipulate the pressure around until you find what seems to work best to force the air up and out, as you'll see in the siphon tubes here as I do this. See, you may have saw the air already shoot it out, and so you're done. You can let the pressure off the lid and it will go ahead and fill up. And you notice there's no air bubbles in the mixing chamber until the water level hits the float. And then the air comes on. Now if you fail to prime the skimmer before the water level starts filling up into this smaller neck, shut the power off immediately. Do not let the collection container fill up with water and let water get returned back into this tube. So again, make sure you turn the power off if you are unable to get it to prime on your first try, and then just try again. Let the water level drop back down. So I have added some skimmate to this water to give you a more realistic application for what you'll see in your aquarium. So what you want to do is disconnect the silicone hose and the water level will drop in your skimmer. And I'm going to let this water drop, and then I'm going to add water to this sump tank, and that will make this water level come up. If you're at a water level in your sump tank lower than you desire, add water with this hose disconnected and give it some time to settle, as the water level will rise as I add water. So I'm going to add water now so you can see. And we're looking at 9 inches of water. We'll give that a minute to rise. You can always speed up the process of rising by just putting your finger on the hose for a second, and then it'll settle down. And to figure out whether it's rising or lower or going up or down. I'm going to add a little more water. And it's creeping up a little bit. I think you get the idea. I'm going to cover that up a little bit and see if it drops down. I brought it up to the seam. Again, this is the water level that ideal. If you want to pick a depth If you have the option to select whatever depth you want, this is a great depth right there to achieve. In other words, at 9.5. Now, give it a week or two for the material to adjust, and then disconnect your hose later and see where this water level adjusts to at your current sump tank. So when it's time to empty the collection container, all you gotta do is just slide it off and then remove it and empty it. Don't turn the power off because you don't need to, and you can rinse it out. And another thing that's cool is if you want, you can use your skimmer to dilute your additives for your aquarium and just pour them in here and leave this hose disconnected, and then the skimmer will gradually let the supplements get back into your sump tank and then back into your aquarium. And then just plug it back on, and you're up and running. And that's really all there is. Regardless of the water level change from evaporation in your sump tank, this water level can literally go down to 1 inch and not affect the internal water level. And as you may have seen on the homepage video, if you watch that, you'll see the demonstration. Now that you got your skimmer up and running, all there is left now is to adjust for your specific bioload by adjusting the float level on your actuator. Give it an hour or two and see if the foam is coming in contact with the top of the lid. You want a gentle contact of the foam column against the lid, and it can be pushed out gently outward, but you do not want it actually flowing into the collection section, okay? Your float is too high up if it starts actually flowing into it. You want the Skimmate foam column to make contact with the lid, and then as their bubbles rupture, it will drip off this inner edge here, off this inner edge right here. It'll drip into the collection container and give you the perfect rate of accumulation. So again, use the extension if necessary. If the foam is flowing into the collection container, and even at the lowest point, if it's still flowing in the collection container because you have an excessive amount of Skimmate in a large aquarium, just disconnect the silicone tube and let it run without this connected, and that will give you a lower water level, a lower foam column. And then just let it run that way for however long it takes, a couple, 2 or 3 days, until you can reconnect it with this particular arrangement. And so that's pretty much it. You'll find that over time you'll adjust that flow just a little bit based on the accumulation, and some customers find that adjustment gives them a different result than they expect, and so that's something you can just play with until you get it just the way you like it. So again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and enjoy your day. Thank you.